Well, right now, the weather in Jackson, central Mississippi, is actually fairly nice, but not too far away. We've got a strengthening Category 2 hurricane here, which is trying to form an eye. Of course, we're talking about Sally. She is not too far away from the coastline, but it's still maybe 24 hours or more before it moves in because, as expected, it is slowing down. Earlier today, it was moving at 8 miles per hour, then 6, then 5. Now it's just creeping to the west-northwest at about 3 miles per hour. So that's going to produce a lot of rain, we think, along the immediate Gulf Coast because several hours of that rain shield being on shore in Florida, Alabama, and potentially into Mississippi. Now, at the 10 o'clock advisory, we got new information, Category 2. It's been holding steady with 100-mile-per-hour winds over the past several hours. Now, the pressure has dropped just a little bit as of this last advisory. We've got hurricane warnings in effect from basically New Orleans through the Mississippi and Alabama coastline, and it shifted eastward into the Pensacola area of Florida. And here's a look at the forecast path of the storm. Now, we have to pay attention to the cone here, and that stretches from about Harrison County in Mississippi to just about Pensacola, about the Alabama and Florida state line. Right in the middle there is actually closer to Mobile than it is to Biloxi. And remember, it's been trending in this direction, which is great news for us. We want that to keep up. We want it to go as far east as possible. But notice it's going to get a little stronger, 105-mile-per-hour winds. If it gets up to 111, that would make it a Category 3 major hurricane. More good news, it will continue to head northeastward in Alabama and Georgia as the week goes along and it weakens. So it's mostly going to keep Mississippi on the west side of the storm with a north wind. Most of us, especially along and west of Interstate 55, I think are mostly going to stay dry. We're just going to see some clouds and some winds out of the storm. Of course, along the Gulf Coast, they're going to get the worst of the winds, about 96 to 110 miles per hour with a Category 2 hurricane. That could produce extensive damage with power outages for more than a week. Now, with a landfalling hurricane, we can see flash flooding. We can see a coastal surge, of course, strong winds and severe weather. But the highest risk for us in Mississippi will come from that flash flooding because it is such a slow-moving storm. The rainfall totals could really pile up. But again, mainly over the extreme southeastern part of the state. The coastal storm surge is going to be significant. We're talking about 6 to 9 feet. As far as winds are concerned, as far north as I-20 in the Jackson area, barely going to get tropical storm force winds, and most of that severe weather is going to be east of the center of circulation. So let's break down those threats one by one. We're going to start with the rain. Here you see live eye max 12, a couple of those tropical downpours earlier in the day, but not really seeing too much right now. Now, the good rain shield has already moved on shore around Panama City and just to the south of Mobile there, and there's the eye of the storm. It's only about 120 miles away from Biloxi. As far as the rainfall totals are concerned, look at the green shaded area. That is less than a ½ inch. That's what we're expecting here. But then you go to the east, and right along the Interstate 59 corridor, that's where the rain could really begin to pick up, 6 to 12 inches along the Gulf Coast, and that's why we've got a flash flood watch through Wednesday night for this area. Now let's talk about the storm surge. It's been revised down a little bit farther off to the west because remember the storm is moving farther to the east. So 6 to 9 feet though still along the entire Mississippi Gulf Coast. And as far as the winds are concerned, only a 22% chance that we're going to see those tropical storm force winds. And we mentioned that spin-up tornado threat. It's going to be along the coast tonight, a little bit farther inland Tuesday, but just to the southeast of the Hattiesburg area. So those are the threats associated with the storm. Again, if it heads to the east, that's great news for us. We're still going to have to be weather aware over the next couple of days. The rain should completely wrap up by Thursday. And then look at this. I think as the hurricane passes by to the east, it's actually going to bring in some good weather for the weekend. We're looking at lows in the low 60s and highs in the low 80s with mostly sunny skies.